Man, y'all won't believe who I got on here. Hey, mama, I made it. I got Vanessa, the CEO of Fancy Homebody. I even got her husband, Mitch, is in the building. Don't nobody see Mitch. Mitch, he kind of played the background. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I got a chance to meet her counterpart, man, that means a lot. What's up, Vanessa?
Hello.
So you guys drove here
We drove here.
last night?
Drove here last night.
Okay.
Snowy, cold, but we made it.
So what is the temperature in Chicago right now? Or what was it when you guys left?
Like 22. Dang. Real cold.
Wow. Okay. So how was your hotel stay?
Hotel stay was good. Great, chic, nice little boutique situation. So
Nice. Did you go to a restaurant when you got back, or you got takeout, or you just went straight to sleep?
straight to sleep. It was a long day yesterday. So
No, that's how it be. Me and my wife will, take the kids to my mom's house and might have a night to ourselves, and we be thinking like, oh, we about to get it popping tonight. And then we fall asleep. The opening credits of the movie, the first movie we put on, we out. You know what I'm saying?
yes. We love a good staycation. That is one thing that we make sure that we do.
Yeah.
Is we do lots of staycations.
What's up. That's what's up. So you live in Chicago, right?
Yes.
Okay, it feels like you're from Detroit.
I know.
Because you just got nominated for an award. It's,
Yes.
let's see, it's the favorite female clothing brand, right? Detroit Choice Awards.
Yes. I saw that.
How did you get so much love from Detroit? How did you feel about that?
I love Detroit. I'm so glad that I'm here. So that's why I was like, I have to come. Like, I have to be here in person. Like, Detroit is my second biggest market.
Wow.
So we can get into all that a little bit later. But yeah, Detroit shows me a lot of love.
Okay, so where were you born?
I was actually born in Chicago.
You were born in
Chicago.
Okay.
Was born in Chicago, but literally when I was 2 years old, moved to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wow. So how long did you stay in Cincinnati, Ohio? All the way up until the point where you went to college?
Yep.
Wow. How was it growing up there?
Cincinnati is, just a regular Midwest town. So slow, of course, when it compared to the bigger cities, but it's not much to see there, but it was just a regular growing up with my parents, I would call it maybe like a upper working class situation with my family. I'm the youngest.
Okay.
Just
So you grew up in a household with both your mom and dad?
Yes.
Man, that says a lot right there. My wife, she grew up in a household with her mom and dad too. And I remember when me and her met in college, she was like, "Where your daddy at?" And I was like, "Oh, he in prison." And she told me that was like a red flag.
Really?
Because that two-parent, you can't underestimate the results of when you raise a kid in a two-parent household. It's a drastic difference sometimes. And it's not to say that all kids who are raised in a single-parent household don't pan out well.
Right.
But just, we talking about the bulk of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So how many siblings?
So I'm the youngest. Well, I have a half sister who's way older than me. She didn't grow up with us per se, but just one sister that's older than me, Veronica.
One sister. Okay, got you. So how was you guys' relationship growing up? Were you super close?
Super close. The regular big sister, little sister dynamic. I'm a little bit more vivacious, I guess you could say. I was kind of the problem child a little bit, and she was more of the meek mannered child.
Got you. Okay, so you ended up leaving there when you went off to college, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What strength did you get from your dad versus the strength that you might have gotten from your mother?
Okay, so my mother is she's like a very professional woman, a class act. She is very career driven, still career driven. She's going to be 70 this year and is a top level executive.
What? Still functioning at a high level.
Still functioning at a high level.
So like a Vivian Banks type.
Yes, very much so.
Wow. Very
much so. / the Black Martha Stewart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a deadly combination.
It really was, because she's really a sophisticated, career-driven woman, but she's also was a pastor's child, and then coupled with that, very traditional, like wanted to be that matriarch of the family, worked as hard as she always worked and going up the corporate ladder, but then still we always had a home cooked meal. Like always had a home cooked meal. Always took us to church on Sunday.
So she was working and cooking all the time. Golly.
So but also that kind of gave me and my sisters an aspiration to look up to, but sometimes those are hard shoes to fill in that way. I feel like my father is like a very strong-minded guy. He's like a guy's guy, sports junkie. He's a big Ohio State guy.
Oh man, I don't know, man. That's the only thing that I might not like about this whole conversation right here.
I'm just gonna say. We are definitely an Ohio State household.
Yeah.
Everyone went to Ohio State except for me.
Wait, okay, so we about to get into that. The one question I want to ask you is, like, okay, so you grew up in a 2-parent household. Your parents obviously did well for themselves. You said like middle to upper class. Mm-hmm. But I heard somewhere where you were working since you were 14. So why were you working? You didn't have to.
I didn't have to, but I liked that independence. And also, my parents, yes, we were well taken care of, but it was more so of, my parents were always homeowners. It wasn't that they had the flashy cars or anything like that, but they made sure that we didn't want for nothing. So while there were girls at school that always had the new Jordans and all this or whatever, my parents on paper could have technically been doing better than other people, but we were very much so like, no, we have a savings account and, that sort of thing. Yeah. It was, and then I felt like they kept us very level-headed. It was never a situation where we thought we were wealthy or anything like that, because we weren't. It was just that they worked their ass off. Yeah. Like, there's a difference between being well off and being like, no, my parents just really work hard. And that's just what it was. And that was kind of the norm for me. So I never had like access to their money or anything like that. So I wanted my own from an early age. Wow.
But you mentioned a little bit ago, like having an ideal to strive for. They were the ideal. Mm-hmm. And it's like, sometimes that's hard because that's a lot of pressure to live up to that, but it's better than not having something to aim for at all. Right. So for you, working at 14 was just natural.
It was natural.
Yeah.
Like I never thought anything.
It wasn't like they even pushed you. It's like, I'm going to work. Mm-mm. I see y'all working hard every day. I'm going to get my butt out here and work.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So then you decided to go to college, Columbia College in Chicago, right?
Yes. How you know that?
Come on, man. Come on. This conversation. Bridget, Mitch, come on. No, but you went to, so did your family feel like you betrayed us? You were supposed to go to Ohio State.
My father did, for sure. Mm-hmm. So I take that back. My mom went to Spelman. So she graduated from Spelman, but she went to Ohio State to finish her degree, and then she went to Howard.
So she went to a HBCU. Then you said she went where to finish her degree?
So she went to Spelman.
Okay.
My grandfather died her senior year. Okay. And so she had to come back home to Ohio, and she finished her degree that last semester or whatever at Ohio State.
Then went to Howard.
For grad school.
So you probably had the mama who wanted you to go to a HBCU and your dad wanted you to be a Buckeye.
Yes.
But you decided to
go to an art school. Right. So they was looking at me like, what? Oh, but yeah, I remember I'm so random, but in high school, we did a personality test with like the guidance counselor, and it came up with what school fits your personality, and it was Columbia. Wow. But I always wanted an excuse to move back to Chicago. We used to go to Chicago a lot, just for summer vacations and that sort of thing. So I only applied to Chicago schools. I got into DePaul, got into Loyola, but I wanted to go to Columbia.
Wow. So you've always been fashionable. You've always been the creative, so to speak.
I would say so.
But you've always had an acute business sense as well. And sometimes those two don't always, like people don't always possess those two qualities, right?
That is very true. Very true. So even though it's an artsy fartsy school, I chose to go into their marketing communications program. So it was like the least flashy department at Columbia, but then you still got the glitz and glam of other stuff. So you were able to experience both. So the thing about Columbia is not a typical college campus. You're literally downtown Chicago, and the different buildings are just scattered throughout. So you get to learn the city that way. So I was very city savvy, so to speak, being able to just function downtown.
Okay, so now let me ask you this. So you in Chicago. Mitch, your husband, he's from Chicago, born and raised.
From Chicago.
So that's where you met Mitch, I'm assuming.
You know, it's crazy.
What?
So I did not meet Mitch until my senior year.
Okay.
And he was in South Dakota.
University of South Dakota? He was probably the only black dude out there.
He's an athlete.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So University of South Dakota. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of my girlfriends, I'm just gonna say it like this.
Just tell it like it is.
I'll tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Columbia, a lot of the girls, we had a lot of, cute, fashionable girls. We were in the city. Okay.
Yeah.
So you tend to, meet people who might be athletes and that sort of thing while you're
absolutely.
in Chicago. And a lot of my friends were dealing with professional athletes. And
so you was hanging around that group.
So they were just telling me about it. They had this perfect guy for me. He was in school, but he going to the league, girl. He going to the league. I'm like, okay, cool. So we were literally just senior year, always on Skype, never met in person until like right before I graduated. He came home for like spring break or something like that, and that's when we first met.
Man, it's interesting because it takes a special kind of man to be with a woman that's powerful and as strong as you, because a lot of guys, we think that it dims our light if the light of our woman shines bright. And sometimes our ego is too fragile to understand that the intensity of her light is not only a direct result of her hard work and dedication to her craft, but it's also a reflection of our unconditional love, support, and protection, right? So if she shines, we shine. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, man, and it's a different kind of flex. Like for me, when I go to work, I'm carrying myself a different type. I'm walking through the building with confidence, right? Because you're less hesitant to question authority during times where your integrity is on the line. Because you're like, hey, man, if you fire me, my woman can pay all the bills. That's a different kind of flex. So, what were some of the qualities regarding Mitch that attracted you to him?
Well, he's very family oriented, and he is also very silly. So I just felt like we connected on a deep level just because we were very level-headed. Like we had a lot going on around us. Like I just said, people being professional athletes and this and that. But it was just something about us that was very grounded and humble, and we were able to see through all the bull around us. And I feel like we've just been best friends from the very start.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you guys ended up getting married. I could get this wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. It's October 3rd, 2014, right?
Yes.
So we talking about what? Almost 9 years.
9 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And then you guys have two sons, 1 8 and 1 6, right?
Yes.
So it didn't take long after you got after you got married to start the family. Was that a part of the plan?
No, not at all. Not at all. We got engaged. So after I graduated, I actually had to move back to Cincinnati. I got a great first job back in Cincinnati, and then ended up coming back to Chicago 2 years later. Okay. So that's when we first moved in together. We got engaged, and then shortly after I was pregnant.
Whoa.
So we made the decision to go ahead and I wouldn't call it elope. But we were like, let's just do this. Like just me and you. And we ended up getting married while I was 6 months pregnant. 6 months.
Wow. So what has been the biggest benefit to being married thus far?
I feel like I cannot stand when people say like marriage is just a piece of paper and all of that. But at the same time, we were so young, technically young. We were like 25, 26 when we got married that some of the struggles or like the dilemmas that you go through early on in a relationship, we went through it early in the marriage.
Got it out the way. Yeah.
Got it out the way.
Battle tested.
Yes. Yeah. And it was also like, it's not that we were thinking about ever leaving each other. I sure hope not. But I thought like, no, we really got to work this out. You know? So it was that extra thing like, no, like he loved me. Yeah. we got to work this out. So we were able to do that. And then boom, baby.
Yeah. Wow. I always say that the biggest benefit for me is the growth, because you can hide certain parts of yourself from people you don't live with, but your partner, they gonna be on your head. You know what I'm saying? Like if I getting ready to send an email to my boss, my wife look over it, you being a little too emotional.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
Or if I'm on the phone having an intense conversation with my sister, well, you kind of was a little rude.
Yes.
There. So it's that accountability, I think. For
sure. And I think that we have each of our best interests at heart. He's able to check me when I'm wrong, and I'm able to check him when he's wrong. And I feel like that has definitely been a huge benefit when you just know that somebody is like really looking out for you.
That's dope. So what has been your experience working in corporate? The nice job that you got when you was in Ohio, and then you, I'm assuming, got another job when you moved back to Chicago. What was your experience like?
So the experience was corporate. It was actually a global branding agency. So it's
marketing. So you were always into
into marketing.
What did you get your degree in?
Marketing communications.
Oh, wow. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Marketing communications with a concentration in PR, but I never used that whatsoever.
Wow. You kind of use it now though, right? No, not really?
Not really.
That's public relations, right?
Right.
What is that?
Public relations is different than advertising. Advertising, you pay to be seen. Public relations is, hey, media outlet, you should want to be here to see Fancy Homebody.
Wow.
So you're paying a publicist to put the word out for you, have your name work for you.
But you're your own publicist in a sense, right?
In a sense, but then also I don't like to talk to people.
We're going to get to that too. Popular introvert, yo. You know what I'm saying? So
if I had a publicist, I would probably be forced to talk to more people.
Got you. Okay, so corporate. So what was the experience like?
Okay, so it was a branding agency. I was like one of 3 Black people who worked there. So the thing about Cincinnati, which is great from a marketing perspective, is that's where Procter & Gamble, P&G, is headquartered. So P&G, anybody can look around their house right now. You have a P&G product in your house. That's Tide, that's Downy, that's Crest, that's Gillette, that's Venus, that's Bounty paper towels, anything, right? So they just are across the board as far as consumer packaged goods, and a marketing powerhouse, of course. So they have different agencies that work for them as far as, their advertising, their branding, their this, their that. We were their branding agency. So for instance, we would work on packaging design, brand voice, different things like that, copywriting. And I feel like in an agency setting, you're able to see all the different departments work hand in hand, which I still feel like is kind of a one-up I might have. Absolutely. Because in the back of my mind, I know how graphic design works. I know how copywriting works. I know how editing works. and how you put the whole puzzle together. But you know, fresh out of college, I was low on the totem pole, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was on the account side, so just making sure that the client is happy at the end of the day, you know, being sort of a project manager. So it was fun, from the standpoint of being able to travel, being able to be on photo shoots, very early on, but I ain't get paid no money. Like nothing.
Yeah.
And you know, they were the type of like, oh, isn't this great experience? You know, so I'm like,
the dollars,
you
it ain't
know,
adding up here.
Not at all. Not at all. And so I was lived back at home. And I was actually just talking to Mitch about this yesterday. Like, I used to have an anxiety attack every single day walking into my childhood bedroom.
What?
Something about that was just kind of like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Like, I can be stacking my money, but I just knew that there was more for me. Mm-hmm.
Wow, man. So, and it's kind of cool because some people look at people who cross over from corporate to entrepreneurship, they view corporate as being like the villain. But you're saying like, no, it kind of gave me it gave me an advantage once I became an entrepreneur. So you're appreciative of the experience, right?
Yes. And I think that every industry is different. Like, of course, I was able to be in marketing, like right off the bat. And, you know, marketing is still something I just love.
Yeah, you know, you got the coldest slow motion walk I've ever seen. Like your marketing be on point, man.
Thank you. So I just really am all about details, and I think that that's the thing that it taught me the most. Villain, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say villain, but it is kind of crazy how they'll play you in certain situations. Like, I never got a promotion or anything like that. Like I said, they always kind of use like experience versus actually like upping your pay as a, you know, dangling a little treat in front of you or whatever, and saying, oh, you're able to go to Miami for a photo shoot. But it's just like, I'm still only getting, I think I was making like $34,000 a year.
Okay. So yeah, it sounds like, man, so that kind of was the impetus or the motivation to you succeeding once you became an entrepreneur. You kind of had a chip on your shoulder, right?
For sure.
Because in a certain way, you felt like, hey, these people are getting these promotions and I deserve that. I'm working harder than them, right? Mm-hmm. But how did you not let that make you resentful? Because it didn't. It's almost like you took that and it propelled you closer to achieving your dreams. You didn't harness it in a negative way. I
didn't harness it. I knew how to play the game. Like, I feel like other people know how to play the game a lot better than our people. And so I also saw that. So I was only at that agency for around 2 years before Mitch convinced me to move back to Chicago.
Wait, you moved back? Wait, hold on. So Mitch was like, well, how did that go? He hit you up. He said, hey, listen, woman, I need you to be with me. You know what I'm saying?
It was long distance for quite some time.
How long were you guys long distance for?
2.5.
Oh, yeah,
2.5 years.
Time. Me and my wife did 4.5, so we know how that is.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
But it builds character. That's that battle testing that you talked about earlier.
Yeah. It does. And like I was saying, I couldn't take being in my parents' house anymore. And I'm like, I just have to make this work. Mm-hmm. I worked with a headhunter to try to find a job, like anything. Like, I'll take anything in Chicago. And clearly, you'll make more money in Chicago. And every marketing position they had had to do with pharma, big pharma.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm like, okay.
Whatever,
I'll take it. And I love pharma. I love pharmaceuticals. So I got my job there in Chicago, moved to Chicago, and that kind of started my whole medical marketing career, which I did for the next.
That's a lot of money in that too, man.
6 years.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It was a big jump.
Yeah. No, we got some friends when we was living in California. Our friends were both they're married and they're both in the same industry. They sold pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, or marketed it. And when they bought a house, I think they bought a house in Rancho Cucamonga. And when you buy a house in California, you doing something. Yeah. I'm like, damn, y'all making some money. My wife is a dentist. I'm an engineer, but you know, that can have a cap on it. But when you're doing what you were doing, the ceiling is
Yes.
it's unlimited. It's based
Yes.
on your effort, right? Because you kind of get paid on commission too, or no?
Well, that's for people who are actually the sales managers.
Okay, I got you.
So
Okay.
I was still on the agency side at that time. Agency side where we worked with different sales teams. We would like write the different pitches for sales teams to pitch certain medicine.
Got you.
To doctors and hospitals.
Wow. Okay. So now you work in corporate. You had your first son. You had your second son not too long after that. At what point did you decide, I want to start my own business? Business.
So was working full time. Got pregnant for the second time. And I'm like, I don't think that I can do this anymore.
Wow.
It was a very rough delivery of my second son.
Oh, wow.
So my son only came about a week or two early, and all hell broke loose.
What you mean? We got to get into this.
I know, yeah. So that's kind of the long story short, but all hell broke loose. Basically, it was an emergency C-section, and my uterus did not contract back after he came out. So on top of that, they were saying that he was performing less than a 36-week-old or something, even though he was technically 39 weeks.
Yeah.
So he gets rushed off to the NICU while I'm getting sewn up. And I remember one of the doctors or nurses came in my ear and she said, "You need to pray right now."
What? A nurse said that?
Yes.
A nurse brought religion into... Oh,
yes.
Wow. Go ahead. Okay.
And I'm like, okay, what's happening? You know, and they were like, "You're losing a lot of blood. And we need to rush you into surgery." So I'm freaking out. Wow. Mitch is freaking out. I get rushed off to an emergency surgery where they have to put a stent in my uterus to stop the bleeding and stuff.
Yeah.
And then everything they thought was all good. And then later on that night, basically it was discovered that the stent ruptured while I was sewn up. I know this sounds very graphic.
No, this is because there's so many people that can relate to this.
Yes,
right?
and I've never talked about it.
This is TinBridge. This is an exclusive. Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, but I feel like people probably should know that this happened. So, they realized that I was dealing with a lot of internal bleeding, and I had to get rushed off to a second emergency surgery where they told me, "Oh, it's just an exploratory. We're just going to go and make sure everything was okay." But they were doing that. They had told Mitch and my mother the real deal, which is that they were about to put me under and really figure out what was going on. Long story short, after 6 hours, I had to have an emergency hysterectomy.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I had to have an emergency hysterectomy. Yes. It was insane. So I woke up with the news that I will not be able to carry another baby.
And they couldn't tell you that before because you would have panicked.
Yes.
Golly.
Yeah. So then that happened. And then my baby's still in the NICU. And so we were there for over a week. I'm in ICU, baby's in NICU. I had to have 8 blood transfusions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was insane and would never think that anything like that could ever happen to me.
Yeah, because the first one went smooth. Wow. Wow.
So what's crazy, though, is how my mind works. I was more concerned about my baby. Like, it was more so I wasn't even thinking about what just happened, really. So I don't think that I ever processed that, because that is a loss in itself. And I never processed that at all. Plus, I had a 16-month-old at home to take care of. So
you didn't have time to sulk or wallow in it.
Not at all. Because also, like, you get those opinions, or even though everybody around me in our circle and family were of course, amazing and very supportive.
Yeah.
You don't want to look like you're unhappy or not blessed to have your 2 children, you know. So I felt like I wasn't able to be very honest with how hurtful that it was to be kind of taken away from me in that way.
Wow. So was there some, I hope I'm getting this right because I'm not a woman clearly, but postpartum depression associated with this?
Yes, for sure. But I never knew what it was really. Because I like went back to work 6 weeks later. I worked
6 weeks later?
Yeah. I worked from home. I had to hide the baby. So I told them that the baby was at preschool or was at daycare, but he was really home with me or whatever. Yeah. And
so why did you go? I know Mitch was probably like, why you going back to work? Because I got you. I've been working since I was 14. So that was your decision, I'm sure, to go back.
Yeah. And we were still just kind of, you know, a young couple trying to make it work. But yeah. So, and he was always like the breadwinner in our situation. He had us covered.
Oh, a traditional man. That's a throwback right there. I like that. Yeah, you know these brothers be wanting you to go Dutch on everything nowadays.
No, not at all. Yeah. It's princess treatment only. Okay. No. But so I, of course, had him to lean on, but I also felt like I needed to like focus my energy somewhere else. Yeah. So I did that, was working from home few years, but I did really feel that void. And I also felt like, I don't know, I felt like I had like lost my juju a little bit. Like working from home, and I have these 2 babies back to back. I'm married, so I don't necessarily relate to like my old circle or friend group or, you know, peers and that sort of thing. Of course, I didn't want to hang out with anybody I worked with. So, you know, that can be a lot. That can be a lot on a young mother. And I felt like I always still had that fashion background where it's like, I want an excuse to look cute and look good. And I didn't have an excuse to do that anymore. I was always in the house. But what was crazy is like, I kind of liked it. Like I liked being in the house.
Being a homebody.
I liked being a homebody.
See that? See it?
Good tie-in.
Wow.
But I would be in big white tees and Mitch's basketball shorts a lot of time. So I was not.
So not feeling as cute.
I was not at all. And I think that that's a lot. And women, you know, go through those sorts of things. They start doubting themselves. And I know people say things like mom. Oh, you a mom. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, I was still like 28 years old and you don't want to feel like that. I'm like, no, I'm still like a cool mom.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've always wanted to get back to feeling like myself. And I wanted to start like, I don't know. I didn't know if that was like blogging or just showing up more on social media, but
just expressing
myself
through your artistry somehow.
Yeah. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I definitely didn't think it was going to be loungewear or anything like that.
So you kind of stumbled upon
I just really stumbled upon it. So when my youngest turned he was 2, that's when we bought our first home. And I love home renovation. I love interior design.
Y'all getting renovations done now, right? It's coming together. It's looking good.
Thank you. I love all that. Like if I can watch HGTV all day, like I will.
Wow.
That's just who I am. So I felt like I really loved that whole process of being at home, and I wanted to start documenting it a little bit more, like either decorating or cooking. And I just loved our home. I still love our home so much. And something literally came to me. I know this is going to sound so corny.
No. Let's hear this. But
I was on the couch like, I'm a fancy homebody.
What? Get out of here. Is that how it happened?
I was by myself.
So with the kids and you just was on the couch and you had this epiphany.
It literally.
Wow.
Literally.
Wow.
And I was just like, I probably need to like get a logo made.
no idea of what you wanted to design or sell yet, but
No.
you just knew the idea. Like I gotta
I
get a logo made.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like before that, when I was thinking about just home stuff or whatever, I used to say things about mommy gang a lot.
Mommy gang. Yeah, that's another one. Okay. Yeah.
So I remember Mitch forced me to be social and try to befriend other wives and that sort of thing.
So
you need some friends, that sort of thing.
You're a Pisces, right?
Yes.
So the popular introvert thing. Are you the type of person that a lot of people want to be around you, but you would be good being at home?
I'd definitely be good being at home.
So they might call you on a Friday and be like, hey, Vanessa, you want to hang out? And you'd be like, nah. And then they call you next week. Hey, you want to hang out? Like, I just told you no last week. Why you keep asking me? You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is, don't nobody even be calling me no more.
They don't? So did you used to feel bad saying no to people? Did you feel any guilt?
Yes, and I lied a lot.
Yeah.
About what I had to do and that sort of thing.
Mitch, he got to work late, so I'm
babysit, that sort of thing. And then I really liked being around my kids too. Like I didn't have a lot of people have like their mom close by and that sort of thing. Of course, our in-laws are in town, but they live way out in the suburbs. So it wasn't convenient. It wasn't as convenient as it is for a lot of younger couples where they like, oh no, they with they grandma. It was never that. And then I felt like with what happened to me and stuff, I just liked being around my babies a lot. So that kind of put my social life like it was bad.
So Mitch was like, you got to hang around some
people. You got to do something.
Yeah, in order to figure out what it is you gonna sell to them. Figure out what they like, right?
No, that was even before.
Okay.
So that was before everything. I felt like when I was just in that slump of a time, he was trying to convince me to start hanging out with people.
The postpartum slump. Yep, I got you.
And some of those people had their own businesses and like boutiques and sold things and that sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's cool, whatever. And I used to kind of share little things here and there that, if I was to do something, I think that I would do something around being a mom. Because, I was just such a mom's mom. And I used to say stuff about being having mommy gang.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. You should do mommy gang. But then I felt like I'm more than a mom. I started feeling like I don't want to just set myself up to just be talking about mom stuff all the time because
you can trap yourself in that.
Yeah. And Lord knows I'm not the perfect mom. Like I don't want to be anyone's like go-to as far as how to parent because we just be winging it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Same here.
Crazy how these children are still alive. Okay. So I remember saying to these girls, this is before Fancy Homebody, I said, I'm thinking about something about like being a chic homebody. And the one told me like that, you just have scatterbrain because of everything that just happened to you. You are a mom and mommy gang is a good idea. And then you should just really focus on moms.
They couldn't see the vision.
No.
Wow.
And that like pissed me off even more. Then I'm like, oh, we got to do something with the homebody situation.
That's that chip. That chip was getting bigger and bigger.
It was real big.
Yeah.
And then that was that one day it came to me after, of course, I'd stopped talking to these people. And
that's enough, Mitch.
I'm like, ooh, I don't deal well with outside opinions. I do not deal well with outside opinions.
Right.
And I remember I was like, Fancy Homebody. That's what I am. And then I like just went and got a logo made.
Yeah.
Still the logo that I use to this day.
So what happened from the point where you had that epiphany on the couch up until the point where you sold your first product? What were you doing?
I was doing a lot of market research.
Research?
Because I'm a geek.
Yeah.
So I was still working, of course, but working from home. So not doing really well with my job because I'm doing this on the side.
Yeah, they're like, hey, Vanessa, we need this report.
Exactly. So I used to literally Google everything. How to start a online business, how to do this, how to do that. And I remember hashtags being a big thing back in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
And what I would literally do is I would search hashtags for hashtag homebody. And then I would search hashtag mommy gang. But before that, I would literally write down everything I felt like a fancy homebody was. What does she look like? How old is she? You know, is she employed? Is she a homeowner? Does she rent? Is she a Target girl? Is she a Walmart girl? Like down to the specifics. So when you're able to envision your ideal customer, I think that it's easier to sell to them. Damn. And honestly, I wanted it to be something very close to me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of easy because I kind of went based on myself. But I would, in a very creepy way, try to search for those people on Instagram, like through hashtags and that sort of thing. So I would like comment under people's pictures and stuff. So when they would say hashtag mommy gang, like it might be a Black middle-aged woman. She might have a few of her kids or whatever. She doesn't have a zillion followers. She might only have 2 comments under her picture. My name is Fancy Homebody. Don't really have anything on my Instagram at this point, but I know that that's a catchy name that I would like comment like, so cute. And literally that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
But from there, she'd more than likely click that name like, who the hell is Fancy Homebody? And give me a follow. Because on my page at that time, I only had like memes, funny memes about being at home or, you know, really pretty Black female photography. But really trying to give a visual aspect as to what was to come. So I used to just really post a lot of inspirational stuff around the idea of a homebody, around the idea of an introvert, but put a Black girl twist on it. So that's how I originally kind of was driving people to the page before you released
even sold
anything.
So I never knew you I'm surprised by how much of a nerd you are, how in a good way, how methodical, how strategic. Because some people might look at it and be like, you know, because you celebrated your 3-year anniversary, I think February 1st.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And they might think, oh, this success is overnight, but it's not. It's all of the tumultuous, experiences that you had to endure to get to that point, coupled with the strategy.
Yes.
And the brilliance behind promoting the brand before you even sold anything.
Right.
Attracting people, drawing them to you, so to speak.
Yes.
God,
and I always say to people too, because clearly I get a lot of DMs and that sort of thing from people who want to grow a following, want to start a business. And I always am a fan of try to build a community first before you sell something to them.
Wow.
So I was always
like you want to do your consumer base justice. You don't just want to.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for a few months, like I feel like I started the Fancy Homebody Instagram page in October 2019. And then I had 1,000 followers before I launched.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I saw a person wrote you a message, right? And we'll call her a homebody, right? Because, you got the glamaholics and stuff like that. We're going to talk about Mia too.
Yeah.
But she wrote you a message and it perfectly summarized what you and your brand are about, right? So she mentioned that she bought some items and she hardly ever buys anything for herself. So between being a mother, being a wife, being a caretaker, working for somebody, she just didn't have much time to put into her appearance. You know what I'm saying? And she hadn't been feeling as cute. And she was feeling down on herself about that. So on a whim, she bought some stuff from you from one of your drops and was pleasantly surprised by the fit and feel of everything, the quality, right? And she wearing the essential lounge set, the hooded set. She getting compliments from left and right all over the place and feeling cute again. And she basically thanked you for creating a brand that represented women like her.
Yes.
And she said that your brand was the extra oomph.
Yes.
Without the literal effort.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
for women like that who wear a lot of hats, it's so important to be able to just throw on something and feel cute. So how did that make you feel when you got, because I'm sure you get a ton of messages like that.
Yes. And she really hit the nail on the head. And I was just so touched when I saw that, because I was like, this is what I did this for. Like literally, because that was me. And I wanted to be able to create something for myself to feel better about myself. So the fact that there are other people who might be dealing with similar issues, or you don't even have to be a mom. Like there are people who just have a lot going on that you don't want to always take the time to just be perfectly put together, but you still want to just look good and comfortable. So yeah, and that's just always been my style anyway. But I also felt like as far as casual brands and stuff, at least clearly it's very popular now post-pandemic. But before that...
Oh, that's when you started in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So everybody was at home feeling not feeling cute.
Yeah. So it was perfect timing. Like God was like, here you go, girl.
So everybody else's business just going down and you just and you just shot off like a rocket pretty much.
Yes.
Wow. So in corporate, right, that you had less responsibility than you have now as an entrepreneur. But for whatever reason, this type of suffering, the suffering that you endure as a result of being an entrepreneur, it just seems more bearable than how you suffered in corporate with less experience. Can you explain that?
Only because I actually am able to get up and do what I want to do. And I actually like it a whole lot. Love it. And you want to be proud. You're, proud of what you put out. And yeah, like my antennas are just always going, like always. And I want to be able to, have every single detail of the business. I want to know it.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a drop today.
Yes.
Let me see if I can get this right. You got hold on, I'm gonna get this right. You got the brick color, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You got the green.
Nope.
It's not green?
No.
Okay, black.
Yep.
Taupe.
Yep.
Let's name the other ones.
Cocoa,
right?
And cream.
Okay, there's a cream one, and it's the classic crew neck. It's the half zip jogger or a hoodie.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have the off the shoulder joint. That's the sexy joint right there with the jogging pants that you always sell.
Yes.
But in the same color. So you're giving people the full sweatsuit.
Yes.
Whew, that's gonna sell out quick.
You think?
Well, because listen, you did.
I like to knock on wood when people say that.
This is what I wanted to ask you, because you had a drop before this one, right? Where I think you might have told people a time.
Yeah.
So tell me what the challenges is of that, because if you tell people a time and you got all those people hitting the system at once, like you can't necessarily anticipate that. What was the challenges of doing a drop where you tell people, hey, I'm selling at this time, y'all? Like, what were the challenges?
So. With the drops and that sort of thing, yes, I learned from the best with Mia Ray. Shout out to Mia. As far as drops are concerned, and having something for people to look forward to, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of anxiety that comes along with that.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
And not everything is set up to work for every single business the same way. But I think that you're referring to the disaster of Black Saturday.
You handled this so well, though.
Oh, Jesus.
You handled this so well. Yeah. And that's kind of a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong.
It was a good problem to have, because what's crazy is, people, it was just that not everyone was able to check out. But over 4,000 people did.
Wait, hold on. You see that? Y'all listen to that? You said over 4,000 people?
Yes.
God. And that's one day?
One day. But it was 21,000 that tried to get on the site.
Wait, 21,000? So this time, and I saw on your live yesterday, somebody was like, yo, what time is happening? You said, hey, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sometime.
It'll be like, up there. Because I feel like, technology is not perfect. And things happen with even the biggest of businesses. Literally, they said that was it Nike? Something, one of the big sites for Black Friday, it had the same similar situation.
Yeah.
We getting our stuff together, but
Yeah.
what had happened was it was way too much traffic for the bandwidth of the site, and things started acting a little weird.
Yeah, man. Mia, I texted her like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, yeah, I got Vanessa coming in or whatever. She's like, what? She ain't even came to see me yet. And I said, well, maybe you ain't important enough. But no, Mia is literally the reason why I've gotten so many people wanting to be on. So I'm going to forever be indebted to her for that. Mm-hmm. And I even told her the other day, one day I'm going to figure out how to add value to your life. You know what I'm saying? But how game changing is it to have access to somebody like that when you do experience tough times, in the world of entrepreneurship? Yeah.
I think that the kicker here is that we are actually real friends.
What? Yeah.
It's not an internet thing. It's not an Instagram thing. Yeah. Like, I love her.
Yeah. It's a mutually beneficial. It's like, yeah.
Right.
I got you.
So, it's very beneficial to have anyone who is in a similar situation to you to, be like, calm down or this, and, think about this or think about that. But also just as someone who has admired her from a business sense for so long and being her friend, I feel like you never want to overpower someone with questions or anything like that. Like have known Mia for 10 years, over 10 years.
See, a lot of people don't know that.
No, not at all. Like, we've been internet besties for years.
So before, because I remember when she did the live joint where she had your product on.
Yes.
Which one was it? Was it the Mommy Gang shirt or the Popular? It was one of them.
Okay.
But she was looking fly in it, and I'm like, oh shoot, what's this?
What
and
is
that made me go to your page, but I didn't know that you guys were friends before that.
Yes. Well, I was just when she was a blogger. Mm-hmm. This is when I was living in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Before I even moved back to Chicago, I was a glamaholic of the week. Okay. Uh-huh. I was a glamaholic of the week. What's crazy is one of her old assistants went to Columbia with me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
From Detroit. She reached out to me and said, there's this blog, and I, would love to feature you on the blog. And yeah. That was 2011.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Man, shout out to Mia, because without her, this wouldn't even have happened today.
Yes, for sure.
So let me ask you one more question. How is filing taxes as an individual?
Whoa.
I'm just trying, because that's the part that people want to know. They don't want Uncle Sam coming after them if they ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So how is it different filing taxes as an individual versus a business owner?
It's very different. It's very different. It is really crazy. No, it's very different, and pay your taxes, put a lot of money up to pay him at the end of the year. Yeah. But
I'm trying to end up like Wesley Snipes out there, y'all.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. The biggest difference is a lot more. They take a lot more.
Yeah.
But of course, Robin
Fuller. Shout out to Robin Fuller.
Shout out to Robin.
Yeah.
She keeps me out of jail.
Yeah, absolutely. That takes a lot of pressure off you.
Yes, for sure.
You don't have to be an expert at that stuff.
Not at all. So, speaking of, this is how I feel like Mia helps. Mm-hmm. When she told me to, I have an accountant, you should talk to her. This is once we hit $1 million a year mark, I'm like, I can't manage this anymore. Mm-hmm. And so
wait, say that. Hold on. I want you to say that slow one more time. You said once what? No, I'm just for me.
I don't like talking about stuff like that.
Okay, just go past that then. Okay, once you hit a certain number or whatever.
Once you hit a certain number, you want to really make sure someone is managing that for you. Yeah. And I realized with literally my first conversation with Robin that I had been doing it wrong. So let's talk about sales tax. This is for everybody who might be selling stuff. Mm-hmm. So my dumb self was thinking like, no, I know I have to pay my sales tax, right? So let's say so Chicago has a very high sales tax.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
over 10%. And
Damn, that's like California.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of the highest in the country.
Wow.
So this is just why you're supposed to hire somebody. This is just the thing. So I thought that the sales tax that I needed to pay was for my state, right? So for over a year, I had been paying 10% of everything that I made to the state of Illinois. Robin told me the first time I talked to her,
Yeah.
all your sales are not in Illinois, Vanessa.
Ooh. Wow.
She was like, it should only be the percentage of the sales from Illinois that you're supposed to pay 10% on.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had overpaid the state of Illinois hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That should have went to other. Wow. Golly. Thank God for Robin. Yeah.
Yeah. And they held it hostage for quite some time as well.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, because I'm sure it took a long time for them to give it
You
back.
have to,
right?
go through a whole process. But that's the sort of thing, like somebody actually saying like, no, we have to get you filed here. We have to get you filed here. And, all that kind of stuff that I really do not like asking for help, like at all. So I was like, no, 10%. Here you go. I'm not going to go to jail.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they was just like, bring it in. Okay, cool.
So in the 3 years of being a business owner, how has it changed you? Like, it's almost the same question I asked with marriage. What's been the biggest benefit? How are you different now than you were prior?
Oh, I like that. I think that I am a lot more myself. I just like the fact that I can wake up every day and be Vanessa.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more present as far as my family. I don't cook as much anymore.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm a lot more accessible to my kids, my husband, who's a partner in everything that we do. I just felt like, I don't know, it took a weight off my shoulders from just the whole aspect of having to be another person when you sign on to, your Zoom calls and that sort of thing. Like you literally are able to show up as yourself every single day. And that's if I'm talking to a banker about my accounts or this or that, or
you can be yourself.
I could just be myself through it all. So that's something that I appreciate the most. And I just also feel like, in a way, it now makes me look at everything like, oh, you could do all that. That could be a business. That could be a business. I'm like, that's how I look at everything now.
I think that's part of, like, it's the key to your success. Like, you're mysterious in a way. You don't say more than you need to. You don't overshare. Like, you don't have to share certain aspects of your personal life in order to sell merchandise, nor do you have to put on a facade of being something that you're not in order to sell it, because the brand was created based on who you are today.
Yes.
Kids and a husband, not who you were back in the day when you was hanging with all the basketball wives. So no, I mean, that says a lot though. It takes a lot of pressure off of you when you can just be yourself. The other thing is that you don't give off this impression that you're solely responsible for your success. It's almost like you get out of the way and point people to God. Like, I have no idea, what I'm doing at times. And I have to get that strength from somewhere to go during times where I feel like throwing in a towel, right? So I love the fact that you aren't out there like that. There's not a whole lot of interviews or press or any of that, but you still managed to achieve more success in 3 years as a business owner than most business owners achieve in 10 years. That's crazy.
Well, I appreciate that, but I also feel like that's just my personality is my husband's personality. We are very low key people.
Yeah.
And so we don't like all that. Like, we don't do too much. We have very close and small friend groups. We're of course very close with our families, but we have good people around us, good energy around us, and are able to delegate tasks to make life easier, one, but then also it gives you the ability to grow when you're delegating and have good people around you.
Question: how hard is it to? Because I'm sure you have to vet people, right? When you have a new business, you have to be really selective about who you choose, because that can have a big impact on the business. What are you looking for in an employee? What are some of the qualities and characteristics? Because she's gonna be expanding, y'all, and if y'all want to apply, y'all need to listen up.
I like self-starters. People who don't
Can't teach that.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to be anyone's micromanager. So I like people who take initiative. Trustworthy, of course, that's a big one. Trustworthy, detail oriented.
Ooh, I got you. Okay.
Detail oriented. That is a thing,
'Cause you
especially
are.
with these, and orders and getting orders out and stuff like that. And I just also
You don't
feel
want
like
no disgruntled customers
right
hitting you up like, yo, y'all missed this in a package.
Yes. And human error definitely does occur, but I feel like
You want to minimize it, though.
yes, of course. And I think that just from my professional background, that lends a hand to how we manage our employees is that, we kick it. We're a small business and that sort of thing, but it has to be a level of professionalism at all times when you represent Fancy Homebody. Like, you got to
conduct yourself a certain type of way in these streets.
Very...
Because you represent the brand.
Yes, I like very corporate-y emails, that sort of thing, because is no wiggle room in that. I don't play about that.
Okay, so there's a clinical psychologist. His name is Jordan Peterson. He mentioned that there were 2 hallmarks of a friend. The first hallmark is you should be able to tell them bad news, right? They won't make you feel like an idiot. They won't talk about how stupid you are. They won't get in the way of your suffering. They'll just listen, and they might suffer alongside you, and they won't tell you about something worse that happened to them, right? The second hallmark is you can tell them good news, and they'll be so excited to the point to where you like, hey, did this happen for you or me, right? And they'll wish for 10 more things like that to happen to you. They won't be envious. They won't be jealous. They won't be trying to one-up you. And he talked about, like, if you're at a point where you're trying to grow in life and get to the next level, and you're just trying to get your life together, that, you want to make sure that you identify who your real friends are. So if anybody gets in the way of that growth, that helps you because you're able to identify who your real friends are not. So what I want to ask is, have you been able to weed some people out in this 3 years? Like, as a result of, starting this business, all of the challenges that came with it, has it given you an opportunity to determine who your real friends are versus who maybe the not so real friends are?
You know what's crazy is I never had like this big group.
Keep a tight circle. Yeah.
And I'm a popular introvert.
Y'all.
So I'm still cool with a lot of people. I ain't got a problem with no one. I have a lot of associates. I know a whole bunch of people in Chicago. When people see me in Chicago, they literally sometimes be like, I didn't know that you were here. I thought that you moved. That's how much I be in the house.
Yeah.
So, I have 2 best friends, Jatan and Isaiah. And then, of course, my sister.
Jatan and Isaiah.
Jatan and Isaiah.
Jatan and Isaiah. Shout out to y'all.
Yes. And Isaiah is actually from Detroit.
What?
Yes.
Oh, so what were some of the things that, because people want to know, like, it looked like you got everything. You got the beautiful, family, the handsome kids, the stud of a husband. You know what I'm saying? You got the successful business. What are some of the things that you are looking for from a friend, right? Because people might look on the outside in like, there's nothing else she needs.
Yeah, I think that from a friend's perspective, everything that you said kind of hit the nail on the head as far as being able to be vulnerable and for someone to be genuinely happy for you. I know that this is like a lot for some people. It might be like, she thinks she this and she thinks she that. Or it
can serve as a reminder of their own inadequacy sometimes, right? Yeah. It's projection too.
Yeah. So I think that when you're around someone who just really is happy for you, it's not about that at all. Like, I feel like me and my friends, the couple that I have, we don't even really talk about Fancy Homebody like that. Like, it's not a thing. It's just still me, you know, and I just want to be as accessible to them as they are to me. And everybody just got their own thing going on. Don't nobody want to listen to me about my sets and stuff all the time.
Have people changed as a result of your success? The people around you, have you noticed it being any different at the family dinners or when you hanging out with your friends? Like, how has it changed the people around you? Sometimes they say success changes people
around
or how they react to you, how they act around you, and
so
all that.
I think that maybe just from a couple people might just feel as though I'm not as accessible as I actually am. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
It's almost like they're afraid to approach me because they'll think that I'll be like, oh no, I'm too busy doing this or that. But I'm here.
Yeah, you got that flexibility now.
I have that flexibility, and that's for like my old hometown homie. Shout out to everybody in Cincinnati, because you know those are my homegirls from high school and stuff, and it's always still love there.
Wow. Okay. So what do you hope, like with your two boys, right? What do you hope they'll gain from seeing mommy bust her butt day in and day out? What impact or impression do you hope your hard work will leave on them?
Just to be yourself and to do something that makes you happy. I will really want to put that on my children, is that as long as they're doing something that makes them happy. Now, I don't want them to be like, Mom, I just want to stand on the corner and do weird dances all day.
Like, not that. But
I'm not
dignity.
saying that.
Yeah.
But of course, I would love for them to be entrepreneurs, but whatever they want to do, I'm going to support them wholeheartedly. But I want them to know that, like, benchmarks of education, the education system and stuff like that does not also dictate what you're going to be in life. Like, I was never a straight A student. I was like a straight B-ish, C-ish student. And I just tested very well. So I wasn't a great student, but I was a really good.
But you knew how to perform when the lights were on.
Exactly. And so, you know, some of my teachers and that sort of thing probably would never even have thought that I would have, you know, been able to build something like this. Yeah.
I mean, did you even think so? I mean, you exceeded your own expectations to a degree, right? Or no?
In a way. Like, I literally used to think when I started, because I was still working, and I ended up quitting that same year.
Like, it's too much.
Yes. Yeah, but I used to just think of it as, oh, this is going to be a little extra, like, ooh, a little padding, you know, like a little padding to my paycheck or whatever.
Way more than that.
Yeah.
Wow. And I got to thank you. My wife, she has a couple of lounge sets. She has the, the lavender crew neck tee plus boxer.
Ooh.
Man, she came downstairs one day wearing this thing, and I didn't know whether I wanted her to keep it on or take it off. Like, she slipped it down, and I said, put it back on. I'm not taking it back down. I'm not saying too much, but she was looking sexy and delectable. So I got to thank you for that, because it does something. It accentuates those curves, man.
Yeah. We like to accentuate the curves now.
Yeah, definitely. So I got to thank you. I had to mention that. I got to thank you personally for that. So you said you don't cook as much, right?
No.
I love the fact that you ask these questions from the homebodies and say, yo, what y'all cooking for the week?
Yes.
You know, because we get ideas, and I'll show Bridget, like, yo, look what they said they cooking. And she like, when you going to cook it? You know what I'm saying? So we get these ideas, and I know that you got your famous fancy lasagna you make. You made some blackberry cobbler for your moms one day.
Yes.
Like, you don't get a chance to cook as often, but you still
I really love
cooking.
it.
Yeah.
I really do love to cook, and I can cook really well.
I mean, Mitch back there saying yeah.
But I felt like just having two children, you need ideas for those quick meals, and so it was just something that I did before I launched. I did the meals on Monday before I launched Fancy Homebody. And so it literally helped me. And I felt like that also built the community in itself, that, you know, we're able to share things and that sort of thing. And I just felt like this would be so helpful for other moms or anybody out there. Some of y'all be doing the most, though. I'm like, I know she ain't glazing pork chops and making a ham and a roasted turkey that same week.
Right.
But it's good. It's good to look at all the ideas, for sure.
Has it been a challenge balancing all of it? Business owner, mom, wife, friend, daughter?
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge for anybody, but I think that, what do they say? Like, choose your hard, you know.
Choose your pick your poison.
Pick your poison, choose your heart. Yeah. And I don't really look at it like that. I look at it as the job got to get done. You know, like, I'm not always super mom one week, and I might be psycho fancy homebody, like focused, and the kids is getting DoorDash and all that sort of thing. But I feel like if I make the conscious effort that the next week I'm gonna do the most, you know, for them. Or, you know, we just took them to Disneyland last month. Definitely cut school for that. Hope no one is watching this from that school. But it was because mommy and daddy were so busy in December, like around Christmas, and with the drops that happened and everything, that it was still a great Christmas time. We do Christmas at our house. But I just also felt like my attention wasn't quite there, and I never want them to ever think that
you're not present.
I'm not present.
Got you. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I know in a couple of months you might be selling some sundresses, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait for the fellas, because we love sundress season, right? But where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, so my husband and I are now really diving deep into the real estate investing, and I really love that. And so I would love to continue on that trajectory. How do you say that word?
Trajectory.
Yep.
I think that.
Yep, what he said. So that is from that aspect. Fancy homebody aspect. I just want to continue to deliver quality and grow at the pace that God wants me to grow.
Ooh, God, that's about us getting out of the way and pointing people to God. I love that. Okay, so when you are retired and you sitting on some tropical island with Mitch somewhere, you know, what do you want people, when it's all said and done, what do you want them to take away from your experience? How do you want them to, I won't say how do you want them to view you, but how do you want to be remembered, I guess?
I would want to be remembered as a degular girl, Black girl from Cincinnati, who never had anything given to her, didn't come from a super rich family, didn't have crazy famous, you know, men in her life or anything like that, but somebody who just really bust her ass and worked hard, and was able to be herself through the process.
Damn, that's important.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I'm going to take my time with this, because the biggest thing that I gained from this, like you mentioned, waking up, finding out that you had to get a hysterectomy, right? And you didn't have time to suffer with that because you had a 16-month-old and a new baby, right? And then during postpartum, you decided to take on a new challenge of starting a business. So you didn't have time to really suffer with the postpartum depression stuff. You took on a new challenge, and with that new challenge came new purpose, new meaning. It came something that you would have to nourish, build, and tend to. And it took some of the focus away from the other stuff you were suffering with, right? It counteracted your suffering or ameliorated it to some degree. And as a result, you got stronger in the process. You increased your capacity to suffer and improved your ability to manage your suffering. And I know it's a lot of people out there that might think, well, how the hell am I supposed to take on a new challenge when I'm suffering with this? And I think based on your story and what you said is that you can't make it all about you. And people have a tendency to want to take on a full burden of all of the pain and suffering that exists in the world. We somehow think that suffering is localized to just our experience. You know what I'm saying? And it's not. Everybody is going to suffer. You can't live on this earth without suffering. And maybe that's the price we pay in exchange for being granted this gift called life. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to understand that if we don't figure out a way to suffer the right way, not in a way that causes us to become resentful, malevolent, or bitter, but suffer the right way, then the people around us are going to suffer. Our kids, our husband, you know, our wives, our family members, our friends. So many people are going to suffer if we don't figure out a way to suffer the right way. And that's the importance of family, though, right? Because you got family that reminds you, that give you purpose, that give you responsibility, and it's good to have them during these hardships, and it reminds you that it's your responsibility to serve them, and in a sense that prevents you from making the suffering about you, from somewhat detaching yourself from your own suffering in order to make life better for them and yourself, because you're growing. So that's what I respect about you the most. The fact that you were able to suffer in a noble way, suffer in a principled way, in an honorable way. Like, that says more about your character than anything, because many people succeed, but not many people are able to succeed while maintaining their integrity at the same time. So I think I'm gonna title this episode, "The Antidote to Suffering is More Suffering. It's more challenges." So you don't have time to sit in it.
Yes.
Damn, you the GOAT. Like, I'm sorry, but that's what I got from it. And I hope that's what everybody else gets from it.
Yeah.
So damn, man, I'm just so appreciative that you came on here and shared it. Like, you touched me, man, and I really appreciate this story, and I know so many people are gonna learn from it. You got any final words?
One thing I was just thinking about when you said that is, like, you know, when you're on a plane and they're telling you, make sure that you secure your mask before you help others. I felt like that's something that I wanted to do, and I feel like a lot of women should also do, is that while you want to be able to push through suffering, it's totally okay to make sure you're okay first, so you can be your better self, to be able to serve your family, you know, the community, what have you.
Don't lose sight of yourself in the process
Exactly.
of showing up for other people.
Exactly. And I think that young mothers go through that a lot. You know, this business was something that I was really
for you. Yeah.
was searching for as just a hobby. Like, I felt like, you know, how somebody like, you need to get a hobby, you know?
Yeah.
And when you have something like that to put your energy towards, something positive to put your energy towards, it could be really beautiful and beneficial. And then once that energy is there, you never know what can come from it. So I do feel like it's because of the positivity and just the pure intent going into Fancy Homebody is why it has been successful. It's just because at the end of the day, we just want to be good people who want to put out a good product, and hope that even more women feel the way that young lady did when she experiences our brand.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you like, you created more purpose and more meaning in your life, and it made your suffering more bearable, and you know it because it made your life better. It made people around you lives better, and people who don't know you, like the lady who said she felt cute again. You designed a product that made people that you'll never meet feel a certain way. Like, that's really, really, really huge. You made your suffering count, man.
Yeah.
So that's dope, man. Listen, we talking to somebody who was born in Chicago. She was raised in Cincinnati. She's an honorary Detroit member of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? This is Vanessa, CEO of Fancy Homebody. Please look in this camera. Tell people where to follow you. You know what I'm saying?
You can follow me at Fancy Homebody on Instagram. Shop Fancy Homebody on Instagram. And, of course, fancyhomebody.com.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Mitch. I'm talking to Mitch off camera. Conversations with TinBridge, y'all.
Thank you.
Peace.